G'day guys, hope you're having a good day today. I've made some improvements to some of the equipment that we're using. I'm still using this microphone here, probably until tomorrow, and then I'll show you the next microphone I'm going to use. It's quite a significant upgrade to this thing here. Can't wait till it comes in, but in the meantime I just need to hold on to this or keep it in a direction so you can hear my voice. So today we have a 2018 MacBook Pro. It's overheating. The customer says that it's just not turning on, and when I plug it in, I am getting 5 volts coming from the charger. So I should be getting 20 volts going through to the MacBook, and that will tell you that it's working. So if you're getting 5 volts, then probably something wrong with the two CD32s, which provide power to allow the MacBook Pro touch bar to turn on. So we will open up this computer and get straight into it. I've already taken the bottom lid off, and I can smell something really bad coming from the computer. When I have a look at the actual lid itself, there is some indication that tells me where the hottest part was, and if you get it in the light, it's right there. So that's where the burn is coming from. As a matter of fact, it smells burnt as well. So it's got the smell of like a burning dielectric capacitor. I don't know if you know what that smells like, but that's what I can smell right now. Is smells like a dielectric capacitor. So I'll put this lid down. Actually, let's match it up. I've got to do that. So if we were to match up in that particular area, it's coming from here. So it's one other thing that I've noticed is that white. That white bit there. Anyway, I can tell you that that's from corrosion, and that's from water being sucked through that particular part of the computer. And what's probably happened is it's sucked itself into the fan and blown itself all through the computer, and now you are getting nothing. And that's probably why the computer wasn't turning on at all. Okay, so we'll have a quick look throughout this computer and see exactly what else we can find. So we'll just try to zoom in if we can. So that's a nice bit, that's a better view. Okay. So I just want to get this in frame. Make things a lot easier for you to see exactly what I'm seeing and exactly what I'm looking for. And I just want to wanted to add the microphone to the board view. So we've got our schematics all ready to go, but what I want to do is find out exactly where that bad smell is coming from. So we'll start having a look now. What we do know is that liquid did come in through this area here. Got some tweezers. So liquid started coming in through this area here, and somewhere within this vicinity we'll find some sort of burnage that's happened. But that definitely smells like burnt capacitor, burnt dielectric capacitor. So we're not going to mess around. We're going to take this battery out, and then we're going to disconnect the whole entire computer, and then we'll just go from there. So first things first is we want to get ourselves a T4 screwdriver. Apologies, that would be a T5 screwdriver. So here's my T5, and I'm so grateful that I've got this camera right up here, this camera right there, and that's actually an upgrade from the GoPro. So now I am using a Canon G7X, and that's for my top-down view. I was using a GoPro, but I didn't like it, so I sent it back to them yesterday. Okay, so we'll disconnect this battery. We'll take this off first. I think this is an indicator. And we'll just spin this flap over the top, just like so, and that will expose the battery screw, and that's a T5. Remove that T5. Okay, now this part here lifts up, and the battery is now disconnected. So the battery is connected through this control board here. When a screw is screwed into here, it creates continuity between this part here and the bottom of the board. So essentially it just connects the two together. Okay, the next thing. There's so much to do on these computers. We will start from the back end over here. So we'll take off the LCD connector, and to do that we've got to remove these screws here, and they hold down the ribbon cable to stop it from moving about and getting caught up in other places, and it also covers the top of the connector as well. So battery's disconnected, we just pop that up, and then we can remove these two screws here, which also hold on to a piece of metal that holds down and keeps the LCD connector secure. So we can now lift that up. You've got to be delicate with these because they do have a tendency to break. Okay, so the next thing we want to remove is the Wi-Fi antennas right there. So just 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3. And then underneath there, you'll see a screw. Can you remove that? And that's for the antenna. Okay, the next thing we want to remove is the left and the right speakers. You'll find them underneath these little bits of tape here, and the tape just helps it to secure it to the board so it doesn't come out by itself or by vibration. Okay, now the other side. Okay, now we've got this connector here that can come off. Okay. And this part here by the fan. Then it can come off. Now we'll take these connectors off here. So these are for the DC and USB connectors, and we've got two on each side. So one for your left side and your right side USB type C connectors. And that flap just opens there. We'll do the same on the exact opposite side. Right there. And that tab just gets lifted over as well. Then we will remove this one here. It doesn't matter what order you remove them in, just so long as you know where the screws belong, because you cannot make a mistake excuse me, with putting the wrong screws in, because if you do, you'll end up damaging the board, and you don't want to do that. Otherwise it's game over. Okay, so let's get rid of these connectors. I need some CRC for my chair, or a solution that won't make my chair make that noise. Okay, then we lift that connector off. Alright, we're getting there. Okay, so we'll go back to our T5 screw head, and we will remove the heatsink connectors. So you've got one here and one on the opposite side. And that'll allow you to lift the board out without the heatsink bending. Remove the screws. Actually, we've got one more on this side here, and that's for the I believe that's for the fingerprint reader. Could be wrong. Okay, we'll lift that off and disconnect that. You can just use your finger and just bend it backwards. Okay, so I can definitely smell a burning smell coming from this computer, and it's sad because this was a perfectly functioning computer at some stage of its life only a few months ago. I did have the opportunity to fix this computer last. Then all of a sudden, a few months later, it decides it's going to burn and blow itself up, which is less than ideal. So I'm just removing all the screws from the board now. So when you do enough of these, you can just keep the screws everywhere and just know exactly where every screw belongs. And I'll show you what I mean. So just like that. So I've just got all the screws just sitting there now. I've gotten pretty good at knowing exactly where all the screws belong. Okay, so now we'll see if there's anything else holding it down. And how we check that is by lifting up on this part here, and if it just lifts away, then you know you have done that 100% correctly. So when I lifted this up, I saw something straight away burning, and it's right there. So we're going to surprise ourselves with what's happening on the other side of that board, but I want to get a closer look at why this computer burnt. So this is the first time that I'm opening up this computer, and I just want to be 100% transparent. And that's what's burnt. What is that? I don't know. We'll have to have a look. It seems like it's actually stuck from the other side of the board. So let's see if we can get a tweezer under there. So that is a component. That is a component that used to belong on the other side of this board, and now it doesn't. There it is right there. So we will stash this component away so we can have a look at it later. So that's why this board smells like rubbish, and it's because of that component. Okay. So the smell was actually coming from underneath here, which makes sense. So I'd like to show my theory on how this has happened. Liquid has come in through here, through this backside, because it's sitting flat, and there may have been a pool of water on the ground where it was sitting, and it's possible that it sucked it in through here. Whatever has happened, something has sucked in through here and disturbed the board, and we'll see what that is now. So that's a dielectric capacitor. So let's get rid of this here and put that one away. Okay, so we've got this board here, and this part that was burning on the other side of the board, actually to the side of the case, of the keyboard case, was this thing here, and it has burnt itself to a smithereen. That won't work anymore. So if we have a look on this side, you can see quite clearly there. Well, you can see a brown mark here. That's where it's burnt itself. So something's happened real bad there. We're going to see if we can replace it and get this computer going again for my customer, so we can move straight on to the next job. Okay. So we can see the extent of the damage. What you'll also see is there are parts on this board that have a bluish tinge to it, and that's the saturation of the hue the hue settings that I have, and they give me an indication if something is overheated over some point of time, and basically it just shows us where dirt, and grime, and heat has been exposed to this board. Okay, so we're going to try our best to just fix this part of the board. It doesn't look too bad. Okay, I'll show you what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at this part of the board here. And that's the part that's burnt up. So I want to repair that particular area. So we'll grab some flux. We'll go for a knife tip and we'll turn on our extraction. Okay, I'm going to mute it for a very short while. So I have to add some hot air to remove this burnt component, so we'll give that a go. Turn up the heat. So it's not looking too hopeful here. The chances are is this board has burned a hole right through it and caused some damage to some of the other rails, but we won't know until we clean this area up and try to put power through it. And we'll also test for a short to ground on these capacitors that are in series. Clean this up with a cotton bud, see what we're working with. So we've got a ripped up trace there as well, and that's coming from here. It goes all the way to here, into there. So we got traces missing all over the place here. Do I think this is going to work again? I really don't think so. I think I've got a better chance of ringing my customer now and just letting them know, hey, look, this one's not one of those ones that'll be fixed. So I can already see that it's passed through other parts of this board. So do I think this is going to be repaired? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Because all the stuff here, how I'm digging down here, is breaking more and more different rails. Got to be really lucky to come back from this, and I'm not feeling lucky today. I think I've got more luck by just giving up now. So this is what's happening. This part here is the top of the board, so it's all of this top surface here. So that's the surface layer of this board here as well as here. And then underneath you've got the second layer, which is here and around here. Then you've got your third layers, which is deeper, and then you've got layers that go right to the other side of this board. and you've got hundreds and hundreds of different traces underneath these boards, and they're all interconnecting. And if there's one hole here, then those particular connections that have been severed as a result of this will also not work. I don't know what value it's going to have, but I'll put my multimeter into beat mode, and we will have a look at testing some of these connections. So we're in beat mode, and we just want to make sure that there's no direct short on these capacitors. So there's a direct short there, and of course one right there as well. So just to show you what this board should look like in that particular area. So this is the capacitor that's missing on the other board. Right there. So the truth of this job is it will never be able to work again. Very unfortunate, but true. So yeah, so we're going to have to call the customer and let the customer know that the sad news is that their computer, their 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch computer, which cost them $2,000-3,000, is now non-working, and this is what condensation, liquid, and rubbish in your computer can do and break your computer eventually. And sometimes, just sometimes, we just can't fix them. And this is one of those 100% certain cases that it cannot be fixed. I'm not even going to bother plugging it in, but I know for a fact that when you've eaten down into so many layers of your logic board from liquid damage, it's not going to come back to life. So we're going to close this job, potentially supply a brand new logic board, and it's time to call a customer and time to start the next job. So thank you very much for watching my videos. If you find them interesting, please like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and leave us a comment if you would like anything done in particular. If you have a job that you would like me to look at for you, and you don't mind it being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube, then reach out to me, and we can organize a video to be made for you. Thank you. Have a nice day.